Welcome back to the Breeders' Cup Preview Show, Los Angeles. Oh, the excitement of the pier down at Santa Monica. Make a trip down and then come back to Arcadia, California on Saturday if you're anywhere near. The biggest race in all the world taking place tomorrow. We're here to look at all of them. We're up to the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. Simon Bray, Paul LaDuca, Tom Amos with me to go through it. And let's talk about this Turf Sprint race. Maybe the most wide open race of the entire day?
I think so, and we were given that inclination at pre-entry time. 22 entries. This race had more pre-entries than any other race on the Breeders' Cup card. Finally, come entry day earlier this week, we got a full field of 14. Defending champion Desert Code is in here. California Flag, who was fancied last year and disappointed, is back in here, but back in much, much better form this year. And then there is the filly great Diamond Drella, comes in from Angel Penna and the East Coast.
Yeah,
TIMEFORM ratings.
Yeah, well, Desert Code, it just shows you how tough this race is. The winner last year is 20-1 morning line and probably won't get bet again. Might be around 30 or 40-1, but I agree. I think this is the most wide open race, Tom, and the whole card tomorrow.
Maybe the most wide open. And by the way, Desert Code won at those odds last year.
Yeah, exactly.
So don't count him out. If he has that form, you know he likes his course.
Well, Diamond Drella, the mare, with the biggest TIMEFORM number, Simon.
She is, and rightly so. She's beaten Ventura. I know we didn't see a winning performance from Ventura on Friday afternoon, but she ran well in defeat, and she's much, much better around one turn. So I think cutting back to this downhill configuration will suit the filly, but we mustn't forget California Flag.
Yeah, he is, you said, comes in much different form into this race this year. He has won 5 of his last 6 starts.
And I'll tell you why he's a much better racehorse this year, because first of all, you can't go down the hill in 20-3 and try and win this race like he did last year. That is an absolute suicidal place. There's every reason why he got beat. This was his most recent effort in the Morvich, a race which he won by 3 lengths last year and by a length this year. And Tom, the difference is this horse exited the Breeders' Cup and underwent ankle surgery. Trainer Brian Coroner said he's a much kinder horse, a much more relaxed horse, and although he's speedy, he's not an aggressive speeder, and I think that is key coming down the hill.
Perhaps so, and he's undefeated since he's had that ankle surgery. That's big. His success may lie in the tactics of the 10-horse Canadian Ballet, the only other real speed horse in this race. This is a horse coming from the East Coast, not used to the configuration of this downhill turf course. A lot of horses and riders can get confused by it. We've seen that in the past with horses that come from the Midwest and the East, but where Canadian Ballet lays, and he usually lays close to the lead, will have a lot to say about how California Flag finishes.
The one thing I will say about Canadian Ballet, though, on the work show here earlier this week, Canadian Ballet did work down the hill. That is something that doesn't happen out here on a daily basis. Horse is not permitted to work down the hill, and we saw that work, fellas, and she crossed the dirt in good order, or Canadian Ballet did, I should say. And I don't think crossing the dirt's going to be a problem. I don't think the configuration is going to be a problem. I think her lack of class might be a problem.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that she's got a problem ahead of her in terms of that class factor, but she could cause problems for California Flag because she could lay very hard on him early in the race.
Yep.
Well, let's bring in Tony Calvin. And Tony, we're going to talk Lord Shannakill with you. A Group 1 winner. How big a concern is that with this very unique turf course that she'll be traveling over, that he'll be traveling over for the first time?
Very interesting contender. This horse has been mixing it with some of the best milers in Europe. It was third to Master Craftsman in St James's Palace Stakes and was finished 5th to Rip Van Winkle in the Sussex Stakes as well. It's been off since then. Reportedly lame after its last start, obviously having its first start over here. But yeah, it's a fascinating race there. It's training around at the 10-1 mark. If that can translate its miling form and come back to its best, a fit and healthy horse here, it's got chances.
Well, Tony, the race we're looking at, the St James's Palace at Royal Ascot, which I was there and lucky to be witness of, could be a key race on Breeders' Cup weekend. Look at the top 3 finishers. Master Craftsman is in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, Delegator is in the Breeders' Cup Mile, and Lord Shannakill here in the sprint. I mean, literally, those 3 could all win their respective races, starting with Lord Shannakill right here in the sprint race.
Well, Lord Shannakill was also a top-class 2-year-old as well, so it's got plenty of speed there as well. It showed as a 2-year-old.
Tony,
so it's got plenty of chances.
Tony, would you say that Lord Shannakill is a better sprinter? I mean, his races as a 2-year-old were obviously better sprinting. You think now the cut back in distance will be better for him anyway? Possibly,
but his best level of form is the 3rd in the St James's Palace Stakes. So it's a very versatile and adaptable horse, and if it does take to this surface, then it's got definite form chances.
Well, we talked about the horse with the biggest, a little bit with the biggest TIMEFORM number. That is Diamond Drella, a 5-year-old mare who's going to line up in this race, and she is, Tom, 8 for 15 on the turf lifetime.
Diamond is a win machine, and she did something she's never done before in her last start, and that's win going 2 turns and perhaps further than a lot of people thought she could go. But what she proved that day is her versatility, and you need that on this downhill turf course because the configuration is so unique. Diamond, a turf specialist, a filly against the boys. I really like her in this spot.
Yeah, I really do, Greg. I think she's got the form. I mean, her effort in the First Lady was remarkable because the ground was very, very soft that day. She was back 13 or 15 lengths, and she ran down Forever Together, who was in the Breeders' Cup filly and mare turf today. Didn't run so well this year, but that aside, this is a very, very good performance trained by a very, very good horseman in Angel Penna. And it's a year when girls have been beating the boys. Why not try it here in the sprint division for the first time?
And Angel Penna, like you said, is darn good. And I remember him saying that Diamondrella, her limitations was maybe a mile. She's won a couple races at a mile. When you look at this mare, this 6.5 furlong layout is made for her. I just wondered if she's good enough, but she'll be coming late. She likes to win races, and she likes to win them when they're on the turf. And her running style is perfect for this turf course.
Well, the defending champ is back, not in the best of form coming into this race, but he really wasn't in the best of form, Paul, coming into this race last year either.
Yeah, I think he sort of caught a change of tactics. He was the kind of horse that went towards the lead. They went, like we said, 41 or 42 and change, California Flag did, and Richie Migliori just sort of took back, and Desert Code made one run and ran him down late, and ever since then, they haven't taken him back again, and I'm wondering if he's going to take him back now and try to use the same tactics, because he does got some speed, although his work before the Breeders' Cup, he actually worked really fast in the morning, and I'm wondering if he just laid back in the turf sprint last year because they went so fast.
Yeah, the bottom line, I just don't think he's the same horse as he was last year. I know he wasn't coming in great form, but I have yet to see anything in his last 3 starts. At least he ran decent last year coming into this, or his campaign last year against the likes of Street Boss. I just don't see it happening, Tom.
Well, Simon, you know, when you talk about how he's coming into this race, that's actually an interesting question because last year, when he won the Breeders' Cup, he came into that race off a layoff with one prep that was very ordinary. Going into this race, he's doing exactly the same thing. He's coming into this year's turf race off of one race, off a layoff, which was very ordinary. So the style is similar of what he's trying to accomplish, and he goes in the race in the same fashion.
And by the way, that prep, he finished 7th, and he finished 7th in the exact same prep this year, so things eerily similar.
We take a look at the horse for course records in this race, and what do you think, Simon? In this race, maybe more than any other, with the way this turf course is configured at 6.5 down the hill, does that mean more in this race?
I think that's an advantage here, absolutely. I mean, you can work horses down the hill like Canadian Ballet, but you never know until you're in a full field of horses and they start ducking and diving across that dirt. There's 2 fillies in this race. Got to have her is undefeated down this turf course as well. That's the question for Diamondrella. She has never been down and crossed the dirt. That's the one question mark that hangs over her head.
Don't forget Canadian Ballet, another filly.
Yeah, true.
Tony, let's bring you back in again and talk about another of the Europeans in here and strike the deal. 15-1 on the morning line comes into this race in some of the best form of anybody in this group.
Yeah, I mean, its form at Newbury last time was franked when the horse he beat a neck there, Total Gallery, went and won the Prix Labai. So in great form. Kieran Fallon's got on very well with him. Progressive horse. The only problem is that early in the week, the connections weren't happy with the way this horse came over. They were a bit disappointed about the way he was training and looking. It's perked up a little bit, so they're getting increasingly confident. But apparently, the confidence is starting from a very low ebb. So maybe something to bear in mind if you fancy this horse. On the form it's shown, it's winning form. The form's been, like I said, it's been rubber stamped by Total Gallery in the Abbey, but there's a nagging doubt that the horse may not be at his peak here.
Tony, based on the information you got with today's Euros that ran today, the information you had previous to when they ran today, do you feel like what you're getting from these camps is good information? Did you get good information today? Was it backed up by the performances of those horses?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously we had 2 winners today, and that was Europe would have probably settled that from the start of the day. Man of Iron. Apparently, the O'Brien camp were quite confident about that horse. They were less so about Lily Langtry, but perversely, the money really came from Lily Langtry over here and in the UK as well. But apparently, they weren't. The filly wasn't massively fancied come the off time. But yeah, I think Midday obviously was very fancied by all you guys, if not Mr. Cunningham. Yeah, I mean, we've made a very, very solid start. 2 wins there, and we're looking, for tomorrow, we're winning out our big guns.
Well, 5 last year and well positioned to equal or better that this year. Tom, let's start with your betting strategy for this race. Where are you going to wind up?
I wind up on the 9, the mare, Diamondrella. She's solid. She knows how to win. This year, 3 for 4 lifetime in 2009, 4 for 5 last year in 2008, all on the grass. She knows how to do it. She knows how to get to the winner's circle, and she knows how to beat the boys. Girl power.
Yeah.